We go forever and ever, yeah. You know that I'm much upset, yeah. You wish that you can do better, no, I won't let her, We go forever and ever, yeah. I go and create the pressure, yeah. You wish that you can do better, You wish that you can do better, yeah. Ooh. We go forever and ever. We go forever and ever.
Welcome everyone to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I'll be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about the new year, getting you ready for that. And we're also going to be sharing the promo video for Motivation in Motion Season 6. One of the things I love the most, I just love doing it, is I like doing the promo videos. I like doing the finale videos. Because for me, when I see the difference from when I started to when I'm in the beginning and then I'm at the end process, or when I'm starting out a new project, I go, wow, look how many projects I did. If I look at the website, for example, we're over 200 blogs already. The podcast is over 200 episodes already. Motivation in Motion, we're already on season 6 coming up. So we are making so much progress, and the brand is building, the audience is building, the mission, the drive is building, where now we have to grow, we have to expand. We need more people to help us with our cause. Our cause is simple. How can we help the world? How can we help you get to the mindset that you need in order to get the life that you want? Well, first we have to figure out what type of goal you want. Then we help you get the results. And getting the results is actually quite simple. We can do it in 90 days. So I always encourage people to start sooner than later, but sometimes people wait until they hit rock bottom. Perfectly fine. They wait till they hit rock bottom and then they say, you know what? Maybe I should get a coach. Maybe I should do something wonderful, things like that. And I always love success stories from clients who they'll tell me something happened in their life. Recently, someone told me that they got engaged, one of the people I worked with. And one of the things she wanted to work on primarily was relationship. And the second was going to be health. And health was just kind of like the bonus thing. But it was about their relationship. So we just looked at the mindset on a relationship. And guess what happened? Engaged. With that gentleman too. So gave her all the knowledge she needed in order to be successful in the relationship. Helped her along the way to kind of crush a couple of things that were happening in the beginning of the relationship, because every beginning of the relationship is typically a little bit rocky. And if it's not rocky in the beginning, it's going to be rocky at some point. They say the 7-year itch or something like that. I think it's called. Every 7 years, no matter how good your relationship is, there's something that tries to break you apart about every 7 years. Is that true? Maybe, right? I can see it being true in a lot of the relationships that I've dealt with, and just even looking at my parents and my grandparents, that 7 years or there's something that happens. Now, of course, we can just play the role, or we can just say, you know what, nothing's going to happen. Or we can say, you know what, maybe we should be paying attention about this 7-year thing. But what I can tell you is that we all are going to go through some hardships, and we're going to go through some trials and tribulations, I guess you can say, on if you want to stay in the relationship or you want to abandon ship. And let me tell you, it is very easy to jump ship. It's very easy to say, you know, I'm done. I'm done with this. It's going to take a lot more work to roll up your sleeves and to get this done, or to make this relationship work. And the same thing is true in our life. The same thing is true with our goals, because we can give ourselves a mission, but do we complete it? So when I started Motivation in Motion, I didn't even know, to be honest, what I was doing. So if you listen to season 1, the audio is terrible. Everything's bad. It's not leveled. But the good thing is I learned. So season 2 is a little bit better. Then season 3 is a little bit better. Season 4 is a lot better. And we were making slow progress. And I wanted that to be there. Yes, I can go in and I can go in season 1 and I can redo all the episodes for you. But I want you to see the imperfection. I want you to see the process. Because if you go to season 1, it might be hard to listen to. But I want you to understand this is the process of growth. You start somewhere, but it doesn't mean you're going to stay there. And I think some people are so afraid to start because they're not going to be perfect. Well, let me tell you something about perfect. It doesn't exist. So you might think you're in the perfect situation. You have the perfect scenario. You have the perfect setup. But in a couple of years after you doing it over and over again, you're going to look at episode 1 and you're going to say, ugh, episode 1 was terrible. The sound is off. The video is off. Everything about it is off. And there's nothing wrong with it being off, because then you get to see the growth. You get to see the progress. So when we look back at those moments in our life, maybe you started a career a year ago. Maybe you started a relationship a year ago. Maybe you started a business a year ago. And now you're starting to see what was accomplished this past year. What's going to be accomplished this coming year, right? Our New Year's resolutions. You might have great aspirations for something great. You might have quit along the way. But if you quit, understand why you quit. Because you might quit because of a pivot, but you also might quit because you gave up. And we don't want to quit because we give up. I'm all about quitting because of a pivot. For example, maybe you're selling tacos and you're like, you know what? I just don't want to sell tacos no more. I just can't stand the smell. Okay, well, what do you want to sell then? Right? Maybe you want to sell hats, right? You're still selling, right? Did you fail selling tacos? No, you didn't fail. You just switched what you did. Maybe you're in a career doing accounting, or maybe you're in a career doing engineering and you just don't like it. So you switch careers and now you're a janitor. Guess what? You didn't fail. You switched. You did a pivot. You might have not been successful in your job, or maybe you didn't even find any work. But don't allow that pivot to say that you failed, because you didn't. You kept on going. You didn't give up. Now, maybe giving up will look like this. I don't like my job as an accountant or an engineer. I'm going to go back and live with my mom. That's giving up. You're not going out and switching. You're not doing a pivot. So it's important that we do the pivot. Now, the pivot is going to be different for everyone. Some people are going to do a good pivot. Some people are going to do a bad pivot. For example, I'm going to use all my energy that I'm using for my job currently, and I'm going to do something different, but it's not beneficial. If you remember the Christmas episode on the 23rd, we were talking about the idea of good and bad. So we have to look at that aspect too. Is it good? Is it bad? Because when we look at our life and our growth and our progress that we're making, it's easier for the brain and the subconscious mind to see the good and to say, oh, wow, look, this is pretty good. This is happening. Versus if you don't see any growth, because then you start to question yourself. Then you start to say, you know what, maybe this is not worth it. And that's one of the worst things that you can put into your brain. Is this worth it? Because of course it is worth it. It's just that sometimes it takes some time. We can't expect to plant a seed into the ground and that one day it sprouts. And I mean, sometimes it does. Some seeds will. But maybe the seeds that are worth a damn don't. So you can have things that in your life that bring you quick pleasures, drugs, alcohol, sex. Those are those seeds that sprout in a day. But what about the ones that take a week, maybe a year? What do we do about those seeds? What do we do about those moments? What do we do about those circumstances? I think people are so impatient nowadays. They want everything so quick. How can I get this quick? And I'm not saying that you can't get things quick. I'm just saying people are so focused on quick that they move too slow because they're so worried about everything else that they're doing and they can't focus on one thing. So they have plan A, they have plan B, they have plan Z, they have all of these different plans, but yet no action. We're right around New Year's. New Year's is going to be happening or just happen, whenever you're listening to this episode, because I know around this time of year, you're going to be busy with your family, you're busy with what you're doing. So I'm not going to expect you to listen to maybe the episode on the day it comes out, which is before New Year's. But maybe you're listening to it after New Year's. And you have to ask yourself some questions, right? What are your New Year's resolutions, number one? Because you might have said you're going to do something. Maybe it's the same thing you said you're going to do last year. Maybe you said you're going to get in shape. Maybe you said you were going to start a diet. Maybe you said you're going to get a new job. Maybe you said you were going to get into a relationship. But you find yourself in the same situation that you were the year before. Now, of course, we have to look at the growth, right? Because you did grow during the year. So you made some progress at some point or some junction in your life that we can use to our benefit. But sometimes people don't pay attention to that. Some people are just worried about the things they don't have, the bad, the negative, rather than the things that did happen, the good, the progress. Even when I was starting the podcast, I didn't know I was going to be over 200 episodes. To be honest, I said I'm going to do 100 episodes and I'm going to call it quits. Who has time to be doing all these episodes, I wondered. I guess me. Now it's a little bit different. Now I have a team of people who help me run the podcast, who help me run the business, because me doing it by myself is becoming rather cumbersome. So a lot of delegation had to happen. Who's going to be in charge of what? And let me tell you this, finding good workers is hard. So now we have to find good workers. We have to figure out, are they doing the work that was delegated to them? Are they doing a good job? So now it's more of a managerial role, but then I just hire someone to do the managerial role too, because I want my focus to be on you. I want my focus to be on your growth and your prosperity. And if you haven't guessed it yet, yes, you can get coaching here at Revan Concepts. You can pay for coaching. What I do for the people who can't afford it right now is that I create something invaluable for you. Right now, you have an opportunity to listen to the podcast for free on your favorite podcast app. You have the ability to go to my blogs and to read over 200 positive personal development articles that can help you grow. If the blog and the podcast aren't enough, well, guess what? We have a motivational video series on YouTube. Even better news, Season 6 is going to be premiering in just a couple of days. And if it's after the 3rd of January of 2023, then guess what? The season premiere already occurred. Episode 1 is already out. But for the people who are listening to this either on the day or a couple of days after, January 3rd is fast approaching. So it's coming upon us very quickly. And I'm very proud of every new video I make because it's always emotional in the sense because I get to see what I did from season 1 to season 6 and then, going on into the seasons. Because I like to watch episode 1 of season 1 and then I like to watch like the promo episode of Motivation and Motion and I get to compare them. I get to say, whoa, look at that episode. That was rough to listen to. But then the message is still clear. What was the message? Because though the mindset journey for Motivation and Motion is something I focus on because it is a journey where episode 1 is going to lead you into a different type of journey, a different way of thinking, different thoughts. And it might be different beliefs too, because you might have different beliefs. So I target both sides of belief. I might target your side and I target the opposite side. I do it on purpose. I might target something you hate and something you like, and I do it on purpose because I want to pull and tug your mind. Similar to how the muscle has to expand and contract, and then tear. That's what I want to do to your mind. I want to make your mind stronger. And that's one of the things I do. And I don't tell many people I do this because then they're going to be like, what, you're doing this to my mind? Yes, I am doing that to your mind. I'm helping your mind become stronger. I'm helping you become the person that you can become. It's just that you have to do the work. And the way we do that is by building you up. We don't build a house on weak foundation. We build a house on a strong foundation. And your mindset is the foundation. So I am going to show you actually the promo for season 6 of Motivation and Motion. You get to see that right now. If you haven't seen it already, it's everywhere on YouTube. It's going to be on all the social media platforms. If you follow me, you probably saw it already. But if you haven't seen it yet, this will be the premiere for you. So check out the promo for Motivation and Motion season 6. We are Ribbon Concepts, and we help people get to the mindset that they want to reach their goals and get the results they want in their life. But in order to do that, we must first understand who we are on the inside and who we want to be on the out. And there's going to be a lot of arguments in your mind and in society of who you should be or who you can be. And I'm here to tell you that you can be exactly who you want to be, and there's no limits in your life. Though we might invoke our own limits on ourselves, that's just a mindset. We can get rid of all the anchors that are keeping us down and are keeping us from sailing through life. If you find that you are stuck in a place, the only thing you have to do is look around you and figure out what's holding you back. It could be someone that you love dearly. It could be your old habits. But what you have to do is you have to relinquish whatever is not going to serve you this year. You have to get rid of all the excess weight that is slowing you down in your life. Because if you're going to be making this year the best year yet, with every single passing day, with every single passing moment, the less action you take, the more difficult it's going to be to move. When you're on that road to spreading your wings and flying to that place you want to in your life, realize you can get there because of your own free will. So keep on pushing. Though you're going to be faced with a lot of uncertainty, you can keep on moving toward motivation. You can keep on giving yourself something to look for, something to look toward. And if you can do that, you'll see that you can create the actions that can change your whole entire life. Season 6 of Motivation and Motion premieres January 3rd. What we want to see in your life is going to be the results that you always envision for yourself. There's nothing that you cannot accomplish in your life. You just have to look on the inside and dig down and dig deep and make sure that you keep on pushing until you finally get to the place that you want to be. Your goal is in reach, and you can reach your goals this year. Let's use this newfound motivation and keep moving in motion. So as you can see, season 6 is coming just right around the corner, if not already past. And what I can tell you is that I'm excited for season 6, just as I was excited for season 1, just as I was excited for all the other seasons. I will tell you that during the seasons, I started very strong, and then it's kind of like, wow, this is a lot of work, because it is a lot of work to create these seasons for you and to really make sure I'm giving a good, strong message, because not everyone is going to be able to afford coaching. So I wanted to make sure that the content that I'm bringing out is almost like a coaching session, where it's kind of like you listen to the first episode and you think about it and you work on it. And then you listen to the next episode and you think about it and you work on it and you ponder it for the weekend, because episodes come out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesday is your first session and Thursday is your next session. And then you have the weekend to do the work. And then next week, Tuesday, we're at it again. And we might move a little bit differently, which is perfectly fine, because then you get to understand, oh, wow, I have to do a lot more work in order to catch up, or I need to work on this too. And then you have multiple things to work on. And or maybe you say, I'm already good at this, and you don't have to work on that, so you have the day off. You have the week off, right? Or maybe you say that, you know what, this is something I don't want to work on. That's perfectly fine. You get to choose what you have in your life. And if you don't want something, don't get it. So I always encourage people, take what I give you or leave what I give you. You don't have to eat everything on your plate here, because what I give you is a lot. It's a full buffet, because it's like we're in Vegas at the Bacchanal. Yeah, you're going to be going in and you're going to be eating crab legs and you're going to be eating lamb T-bone steaks and you're going and getting Chinese food and all these little plates of food and stuff like that. And it's going to be great. It's going to be delicious. But at the same time, you might not be able to eat everything. And I understand. You might not like everything. And I understand. Because what is not for you might be for someone else, and vice versa. What is for you might not be for them. So everyone has a different mindset. Everyone's going to be in a different situation. But just because they're in a different place, it doesn't mean that the episode is not going to hit the same way it does. Because if you listen to the same episode over and over and over again, something is going to ring different. If you listen to an episode with a guest that I have on and you listen to it again, maybe a couple times, you're going to find that you're catching different things. Whoa, I didn't think of it that way before. Now you think of it again. There's hidden gems in all the episodes. Where do I get my content from? I talked about this around the Christmas episode on the 23rd. I said I get my content from paying attention. I speak with all these guests and I get a different mindset. I work with clients and I get a different mindset. I read a book and I get a different mindset. I watch videos and I get a different mindset. I pay attention so my mindset can always evolve. And in our life, we have to evolve. So we look at last year where we were January 1st, 2022. Now we're going to look at our next year coming up, right? 2023, January 1st. Where are we? Are we in a better place? Yes or no? Most people, they might say, no, I'm not in a better place. Inflation's high. My mortgage went up. Maybe something negative happened in their life, a death of a loved one. And what they do is they focus on that. They focus on that negativity. There's nothing wrong with focusing on negatives, but you have to understand, are you looking at the positives too, the good and the bad? So we have to look, what are your resolutions this year? What are going to be some changes you want to implement? And I know what we're going to be doing here at River Concepts, but I want to get that from you. So in the comments below, or you can send me an email if you were more inclined to, because I know a lot of people like to keep things secret. Send me an email or you can write in the comments below. Tell me one thing you want to accomplish this year. Just from there, commit to it. Just from there, commit to it, saying, I'm going to keep on pushing. I'm going to keep on going to get this one thing I want, just one. And even if you fail one day or a week or a month, I want you to still keep that aspiration in your mind. Now, if you make a pivot, understand you make a pivot, go back in the comments or go back in the email. Hey, Mike, I'm doing a pivot. Boom, put it there. I don't care how many pivots you do. You can do 1,000 pivots. It's only 365 days, but if you do 1,000 pivots, kudos. But number two, you're making progress. You're figuring out what you don't want. And in your life, there's a couple of things you need to understand. You need to figure out what you want and figure out what you don't want. And if you can figure out the things that you don't want quicker than the things that you want, you're going to be making a lot of progress. And you're going to be making massive progress. Massive action happens from taking action, not taking all these different steps and trying all these different things and then saying, oh, I'm doing a lot of things, because many people mistake movement for progress. So we're not trying to move in 2023, all this stuff and trying to give the appearance that we're moving. So we're not trying to move and to add all this movement in 2023 to give us a sense or to give us the appearance that we're making progress, because you could just be wasting energy. So we have to be more meaningful in our actions. When you write down what you want to do this year and you're going to commit to that for me, and you're going to say, this is what I want. This is what I want to be in my life this coming year. And if you can do that, the small steps that you can create from there, then you're going to see, okay, this wasn't so difficult because you were maybe breaking it down. And I always encourage you, get a coach or you get a guide or someone to help you along the way. You break it down. You break it down to the smallest micro steps and you focus on the small victories. Because if you can focus on those small moments, those micro steps, then you're going to see that the subconscious mind is going to allow everything you're doing without much hurdle, without much resistance. And it's going to be almost like paving the way. Oh, you want to do this? Let's make it happen. So you just have to tell yourself, what do you want? What are you going for, right? It doesn't have to be a New Year's resolution. It just has to be something you're going to commit to. Now, if you give ourselves, I guess, a synonym for what a New Year's resolution is basically a commitment. But most people, they give themselves that New Year's resolution off the idea of motivation alone. So motivation in motion is named motivation in motion for people who might be wondering why it's called motivation in motion, because motivation is always fleeting. Motivation doesn't stay there. Motivation is temporary. So that's why there's so many seasons of motivation in motion, because there's always a new mindset coming, and then there's always having to be a spark, similar to how if you're driving, for example, very far, you're going to have to fill up your tank every so often. Now that you're filling up your tank, you're driving, you're filling up your tank, your mind kind of needs that too. So if we give it motivation only, that might be the fuel. But when do we fill it up again? Where do we get some new motivation from, right? And that's where the idea of motivation in motion came about, because it's there to help you, to spark you, to keep pushing you every single week. 2 episodes a week, Tuesday and Thursday. And sometimes we hit a hiatus point, but then that's a really good time for you to take it easy, take a break, to take a step back, to reevaluate, to reorganize, and then to plan for the next season, for the next moment in your life where you take massive action, where you take action for your commitment, the commitment that you told yourself, maybe even told me if you wanted to, if you were inclined to. And I will tell you that I'm going to give you my full support. I'm going to be one of your biggest cheerleaders, and I'm going to encourage you to keep on moving, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the challenge, regardless of your mindset, because your mindset will adjust if you give it a situation. And if you put yourself in a situation, guess what's going to happen? It's going to figure out exactly how to survive. And I remember in 2016, when I left Connecticut and moved to Texas, I was basically giving myself 2 options. Not really 2 options, because one option wasn't viable. The second option was what I was looking at. I was looking at only the success part. Because, yeah, I could have failed and I could have went back to mom and dad, basically just lived my life again and kept on living my same old life. But there was something more that I wanted, and I just had to be resistant, and I had to be resilient, and I had to overcome all the challenges and the hardships. And I can't tell you how many times I failed, how many times I felt like I was at rock bottom where I didn't have an out, or I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent, but I always made it through. I always figured it out. And now I don't have to worry about those things. But it took me time to pay attention, time to build, time to be focused. And I want to create that same thing in your life. I want to create that focus so you can see what you need to change, what you need to build. And sometimes you have to get rid of some distractions. And if you can do that, then you can focus. So there's a lot to it. It's a lot to progress and growth and how you can make this next year your best year. But my biggest advice is going to be learning how to commit to yourself and making sure you don't give up, no matter what. You keep on pushing. And before we go, I want to wish everyone a happy new year. I'm excited for any emails and comments that I get about what type of commitments you're going to be hungry for and what type of commitments you're going to be pushing for, because that's always gives me inspiration too. It always gives me a spark, you can say, to say, you know what, that person's doing this. I have to make sure I'm walking the walk and talking the talk too, because I'm big on that. If you can't walk the walk and you can't talk the talk, how can you help someone? If I can't hold the space for my clients, how can I help them? I can't. So I have to be mentally fit, not just body, not just mind, but also in my life too. I have to create the balance that I'm looking for too. Because if things are not into the rightful order of what I'm trying to create, it might not be the balance that you think, but the balance for me is different than the balance for you. And we can talk about that in another episode. But what I will say is that you can do anything you put your mind to. You just have to figure out what you want. Figure out where you are and figure out where you want to be, and then start to make the moves. And I'll be here every step of the way if you need it. Whether you get me as a coach or whether you just keep on listening to the podcast, keep on watching the motivational videos, keep on following the blogs. All of those personal development resources are going to be there to help you grow and help you prosper. But until that time happens in your life, I will see you on the next episode of Coaching a Session, and I'll be rooting for you every single step of the way.